What is up guys, it's your boy Swolem here, back with another Dragonflight Goldmaking video. So today we are once again taking a look at Dragonflight professions, and what I've done so far is I've been looking at every single profession, or at least quite a few of them individually, looking at their actual profession, and also their specializations. We have one for example, skinning right here, we have one for herbalism as well right here, and we have one for inscription, where we take a look at the professions themselves, and we talk about what you can craft with the professions, and we're also talking a little bit about the actual specializations, and the importance of the different specializations within each profession. What I'm doing today is I'm doing a overview of all professions basically in a tier system format. So basically making a tier list for gold making, considering every single profession. So what I'm going to be doing for this video is I'm going to throw every single profession into a tier list, and I'll be talking about why I'm putting the profession in the place that I'm putting it at the same time, giving you a brief overview of why the profession is either going to be good, bad, or in the middle for gold making, to give you an idea of which professions to grab for gold making purposes. So I'll be doing this based on a couple of criteria. Number one, how much gold you can make, obviously. Number two, how easy you can make that gold. And number three, the setup. So for example, some crafting professions requires you to have a lot of knowledge points. If I just go to, for example, tailoring right here, you will see that for tailoring, I can start crafting. If I just go to filter and we show the unlearned crafts as well, we can eventually start crafting some really good items, like some actual purple items with 384 item level. But to get these, you have to go deep into specialization, and you have to get, like, if you go to garment crafting, you will see this huge tree right here, and by speccing all the way until the outer part of the tree, you will learn how to craft them. So you will have to get a lot of knowledge points to get those actual crafts, which can make you a lot of gold, sure, but you won't be able to craft them on the week 1, and week 1 of a new expansion is always absolutely huge for gold making. Speaking of week 1 gold making, before I get into the tier list system, I do want to shout out my Dragonflight Gold Guide as well, where I have found over 40 different gold farms on the Dragonflight Beta so far, that most of them will probably work on the live servers as well, and they are looking absolutely incredible, and a lot of them are going to give you a lot of gold on day 1, and even week 1 as well, and they will slowly fade over time. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that the sooner you buy the guide, the more value you get from those farms, and like I said, I found over 40 different farms on the beta, and they're going to give you a lot of gold. We're basically focusing a lot on cloth farming, skinning farming, and also farming for elementals, because those types of elementals are used in so many crafts in Dragonflight. The rousing air, rousing fire, rousing wind, rousing earth, and rousing frost, and even more as well. There's so many great gold farms in Dragonflight. It is looking to be a very good expansion for gold farming. With that being said though, let's pull up the tier list and start actually dragging some professions into different tiers and talk about that as well. So here we go. So we have the tier list in the bottom left right here, and what I'm going to be doing here is I'm dragging some professions into different tiers, and I'll be talking about why I'm putting it, exactly where I'm putting it, when we're doing that part. So let's start with some gathering professions. They are probably the easiest ones to talk about, and the easiest ones to rank as well. So let's start off with herbalism. Herbalism is going to be very good in Dragonflight, and I'm putting this right up into the S tier straight off the bat. This is obviously going to be a lot more profitable on day 1, week 1, week 2, and especially when raids open up as well, when people need a bunch of herbs to craft, for example, stuff with alchemy, and even just while skilling up professions. Herbalism, or materials from herbalism, aka herbs, will be in massive demand. By speccing into herbalism, you can also get yourself to the point where you will start getting more and more rousing elements while you're gathering herbs in the open world as well, so you will start getting more stuff than just herbs, and there's so many great things to farm in the open world, and you can even spec yourself into being able to do leisure farming, which is a type of farm that worked in classic WoW, so you can basically kill mobs in the open world, like 3 types of elemental mobs, and you can gather them for additional elements or additional herbs. That is a spec you have to spec into through herbalism, and once again, I do have a herbalism video covering that in depth as well, how to spec for herbalism for gold making. That being said, let's pull up mining as well, and I'm putting this into the S tier, and I'm putting it right above herbalism. So mining is looking looking to be even better than herbalism, and I'll give you two main reasons here. Number one, it's used in more professions. Herbalism is used in Inscription and Alchemy. Mining is used in blacksmithing, engineering, and also crafting. Engineering is looking to be the best in slot profession for raiding. It is pretty much the only profession that gives you any sort of bonuses for raiding, so engineering is absolutely massive, and mining is used in engineering, so that's why there's going to be a massive demand. Blacksmithing is also going to be a very good profession for gold making, and even crafting is looking absolutely massive this time around, so there's going to be a huge demand for both ores and bars. And through mining you also get to the point where you start getting rousing elements from gathering mining nodes in the open world. So mining is looking absolutely massive, so anyone that is going for both mining and herbalism on a gathering character, well, you're going to be swimming in gold in this expansion. Okay, next up we have skinning. I'm going to be putting that one. If we have skinning right here, I'm putting this into the A tier, and I'm doing this with the comment that you can throw this up into S tier, especially for the first week and the first couple of days, because throughout your campaign in Dragonflight there are so many places where you're killing beasts, and not everyone will have skinning, so you can actually get a lot of passive skinning done that way, and you'll be able to get so many mobs. It is absolutely insane, and I can actually foresee skinning being the best gold per hour in the first couple of days of the expansion. You can also do actual group farming with skinning as well, considering it's not to the point where only one person can skin now. If several people tag the mob, then everyone that tags the mob can skin the mob. It is basically working like a regular loot system where there's now 5 shards to skin as well. So basically more people can skin the same mob as long as you have tagged the mob as well. So skinning looking absolutely great. The only reason I'm putting it into A tier is that herbalism is used for 2 professions, mining is used for 3 professions, and skinning is used for 1 profession. That being said, there's so many gold making opportunities with skinning, and once again we cover a lot of different skinning gold farms in my Dragonflight Gold Guide, which is linked down below. That being said, skinning high A tier definitely, and a very good way to make gold in this expansion. So with that being said, we have one more profession that I want to talk about right now before we go into actual crafting. And that is fishing. Fishing is looking absolutely incredible for Dragonflight. You have a lot of different ways to actually make gold with fishing, and I recently made a video talking about how to make millions of gold with fishing, because there's so many things you can do to set yourself up for gold making within fishing. Fishing this time around is tied to the Iskara to Scar reputation. So if you go to, for example, all the way down to on Aran Plains or the Asia span, you have the Iskara Tuskar all the way down here, and the higher renown you have with the Iskara and Tuskar, the more stuff you will get for your fishing. So once you unlock renown rank 4 to 6, you will start getting an Iskara and Tuskar net, where you can basically throw out a net and you will passively get fish over time. You will also learn how to fish in, for example, ice fishing pools, fire fishing pools, and learn how to find pools up in the mountains. So the higher renown you have with these guys, the more stuff you can do within fishing. It is basically like a mini game tied to the Scar to Scar to improve your fishing, and fishing is actually looking super good this time around. So fishing for me is going to be a high A tier as well, and I'm putting this, actually I would have put it before skinning, but I'm going to be putting it after skinning for now. And I will say skinning is going to be worth more gold per hour the first couple of days most likely, but fishing is going to be absolutely incredible as well. Next up then, now is where the fun is starting. So we have a lot of crafting professions coming up now. We have tailoring, inscription, leatherworking, jewel crafting, engineering, enchanting, blacksmithing, cooking, alchemy, and also archaeology. Let's just start this up with archaeology just to get that one out of the way. So D tier right there. I don't see any real gold making opportunities with archaeology so far in the expansion. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I haven't found a single one, so there we go. Cooking as well is going to be somewhat low on the list, but I'll talk about that in just a second. So let's start this off with Inscription. Inscription is looking to be great this time around, and I'm going to be putting it into A tier first of all. I'm going to be putting it in high A tier as well. I'm putting it above both skinning and fishing, and there's a couple of reasons for this. First off, you can craft Darkmoon cards. Let me just log on to my Inscription character, and I'll show you a little bit about what I'm talking about here. Okay, so the first thing that is worth noting about Inscription is that you can start crafting draconic missives. So you have some different types of missives right here. That is giving you a guaranteed versatility and haste and different types of stats when you're crafting stuff. So draconic missives of the Aurora, Fever Flare, Fire Lash, Harmonious Imperialist, and also Quick Blade. So you can actually set yourself to get different types of actual guaranteed secondary stats when you're crafting items, which gives you as an Inscription or a scribe some actual passive gold over time, and it's a steady way to make some gold throughout the expansion. You also have the draconic missive of crafting speed, which gives you a guaranteed crafting speed as well, setting this as a guaranteed property whenever you're crafting stuff. So you have this one for inspiration, multi-craft, and resourcefulness as well. These will be very much in demand when people are crafting tools. This is basically a new thing coming out in Dragonflight, and when people are crafting these dragon tools, they want to craft them with one of these 4 different types of things, just to guarantee what they are getting. Once again, giving you some actual passive gold throughout the expansion, and they could be worth a lot of gold at the beginning as well, when everyone is buying their profession tools. You also have deftness, finesse, and perception for gathering tools as well. Now, here's the big boy. You can craft trinkets, so Darkmoon Deckbox Dance, Darkmoon Deckbox Inferno, Rhyme, and the Watcher. So you can see these ones right here are bound on pickup. That being said, people can use the actual crafting order system to still buy these, so they will provide you all the different materials, and you can craft this for them. So the earlier you get access to this bound on pickup item, the more gold you can get from crafting this one as well. You will also see you have different types of items. You have a BOP offhand piece, you have a staff giving you intellect and stamina, and 2 random stats as well, which you can guarantee by using the missives, and you also have an agility staff as well. You will see, once again, these are bound on pickup, but that being said, you can just get the recipe and craft it for someone else through the actual crafting system. Now, you also have some runes and sigils that you can make as well. For example, the buzzing rune, which is now a 2-hour type of stat increase, giving you critical strike. This one right here is giving you additional healing points, and the howling rune is giving you additional haste. This is basically a rune type of consumable that will be wanted by raiders and most people in general. You have some scrolls, illusion parchment, a bundle of dragon cards. This one is going to be massive, and this is how you're going to be making a lot of gold, especially on week 1, because people will need to buy the regular Darkmoon cards to then make a crafting order for the bound on pickup one. And you will see right here, they will need a lot of awakened order, awakened air, awakened earth, awakened fire, and awakened frost. Once again, we have a lot of gold farms for all of these different awakened materials available in my Dragonflight gold guide, linked down below, and you can farm all these elements in that guide as well. But people will need a bunch of these cards to make that trinket, because if I'm going to be putting down a crafting order for the Darkmoon Deckbox Inferno, you see one of the materials here is the actual Darkmoon deck for Inferno. This is a 372 BOE item, and you as a scribe, you can just craft these cards for yourself and sell them on the auction house, which is a lot of people will buy this one right here and then put down a crafting order to get this one right here instead, basically the upgraded version. So Darkmoon cards are going to make a lot of gold early in the expansion, which is one of the main reasons why I'm putting Inscription this high up on the list. There are a lot more reasons as well, like for example the different contracts. So this one right here, the contract for the Artisans Consortium, giving you additional reputation for them with them whenever you do a world quest, and you have the same thing for every single reputation down the line. And I'm going to tell you this right now, based on fishing being tied to Iskara, this one right here could be absolutely massive. So getting access to, for example, this one as soon as possible could make you a lot of gold as well. So Inscription has a lot of gold making opportunities available, and it kind of wants me to I kind of want to put it in the S tier, but I'm going to stick with the absolute top of the A tier instead. That being said, we've been talking a lot about Inscription now, let's move on. Keeping up with crafting professions that require herbalism, let's talk about alchemy. And I'm going to do something a little bit shocking here. I usually put alchemy very high in these tier lists, simply because potions, flasks, and elixirs are always in demand. But this time around, I'm putting it into the B tier. And let me know how wrong I am on that in the comment section down below. But basically what I'm trying to say here is that everyone can craft flasks and potions. There's going to be a lot of competition, both for crafting and for selling the items as well. So Alchemy for me simply doesn't have enough opportunities to make me want to put it next to something like Inscription. Inscription has like 15 different avenues of gold making, while Alchemy in my eyes has about 5 different opportunities when it comes to gold making. That being said, I'm not saying you can't make yourself absolutely rich with Alchemy. I'm telling you it takes a little bit more knowledge than something like Inscription, and getting like, let's say, to 100 million with Alchemy will be a very, very difficult feat to actually make, and it's basically a feat of strength at this point, and it's going to be a lot more easy with something like Inscription. But the pros for Alchemy here is that you're crafting something that is always in very high demand, so you won't have any problems selling off your potions, but based on how many people are making potions and flasks, I'm kind of wondering how much profit will you make on each one. I will say that by getting yourself specced into Alchemy, you can also proc additional transmutes, additional flasks, and additional potions by getting the multi-craft spec as well. It is basically the transmute master, the flask master, and the potion master from Classic WoW all over again. That being said, Alchemy for me is a high B tier, or like middle of the B tier for me. Okay, moving straight along, let's talk about Tailoring. Tailoring for me is going to be up in the A tier, and it's going to be at the bottom of the A tier, but right now that is right next to fishing. So the reason why I'm putting Tailoring this high is that crafting professions, crafting different types of cloth and armor pieces are going to be very good at this expansion, thanks to the actual crafting order system. So if I want a BOP, aka bound on pickup item from Tailoring, I can actually get that this time around without even having Tailoring. So I think I have Tailoring on this character. Yes, I do. So for example, right here, let's say that I don't have Tailoring and I want to get myself to this. I want to get myself one of these epic items. I can simply get all the materials listed right here. I can go to the crafting system, the crafting order system, and I can actually just put down a crafting order for this item. And that way someone with Tailoring can now craft this item for me, and that will basically create a much higher demand for items found within Tailoring. It also gives people with Tailoring a massive opportunity right here to spec into different types of specializations and craft different items. You will also see that you can only learn one of these at a time, so if I learn the belt but you will learn the hands and someone wants the hands, well, you can now charge a premium for having the hands instead. It is basically creating a race to obtain recipes and making as good items as possible, and anyone can get the BOP items, creating a massive supply for a massive demand for these items, which is going to help you make a lot of gold with your profession throughout the entire expansion, which in my eyes is very good for gold making. Let's talk about leatherworking as well at the same time, and leatherworking, I'm going to be putting this right next to Tailoring, and I'm putting it actually just above Tailoring as well. One more thing that I want to talk about in Tailoring real quick is that you can also get additional cloth while farming, and there's actually a spec that you can go into to get even more cloth from Tailoring. So within Tailoring you have the Tailoring Mastery, the textiles, draconic needlework, and garment crafting. So for crafting you probably want to go for garment crafting, and for Tailoring Mastery you will learn how to collect particularly damaged forms of wilder cloth, and right here you will also get additional stuff, additional crafting stuff. You will get some resourcefulness, and from textiles right here, plus some inspiration, and learn to occasionally extract rousing elements from certain types of wilder cloth during the unraveling process. So you will learn how to find and make additional stuff and get rousing elements just by recrafting. Also, upon choosing the Tailoring Mastery right here, once you go into Cloth Collection, you will see that you will get 1% more cloth per point spent, up to 50%, and along this talent tree, you will get additional 10% right here, additional 10% right here, additional 10% right here, and all throughout this one, you will get additional cloth found whenever you're killing humanoids and looting cloth from them. So if you're farming for cloth, you definitely want to get Tailoring Mastery, and go right into Cloth Collection. With that being said, let's talk about Tailoring, leatherworking. So the reason why I'm putting leatherworking above Tailoring is actually very simple. So for Tailoring, you're creating one type of cloth, and that is, well, cloth. You're creating cloth gear for cloth users. For Tailoring, for leatherworking, you're creating gear for different types of users and a lot of different classes. You are basically creating gear for hunters, shamans, Hunters, Shamans, Rogue, DK, and then not DKs, Death Hunters, Demon Hunters, and you're also creating for the new class, the Drakthir. You're creating for anyone that is using leather or mail, which creates a much higher demand for all of your crafted items, and it gives you, as a leather worker, some very good opportunities to spec into either leather or mail, depending on what you want to focus on, and you can make so much gold throughout the entire expansion, and you simply just have a much larger base of customers based on you being able to create two different types of gear types, being leather and mail. So leatherworking is going to be absolutely great this expansion, and it's probably going to be great at the beginning, and it's just going to get better over time. So if you're going to be making gold throughout the entire expansion, you can't go wrong by having a gear type of crafting profession. Next up then, let's talk about blacksmithing, and I'm going to be putting blacksmithing right up here, right next to leatherworking. I kind of want to put it above leatherworking based on you being able to craft weapons as well as armor pieces through blacksmithing, but I'm actually going to be putting it right next to leatherworking. So now we have leatherworking number 1, blacksmithing number 2, and tailoring number 3. I think I'm happy with that decision, and blacksmithing is looking super good this expansion, being able to craft different types of weapons and also different types of armor pieces, giving you some very good gold throughout the entire expansion. And to show you what I'm talking about here, let me just log on to my blacksmithing character. So here we go, here we have blacksmithing, so you're able to craft some really good armor pieces. You have different types of armor pieces as well, giving you different types of actual bonuses. So for example, this one right here increases you and your 4 closest allies within 30 yards. You will get a versatility increase by 195, giving you something to play around with there, like an equip type of effect. You have this one right here, which is also an equip type of effect, granting 47 versatility for every ally within 30 yards, stacking up to 4 times. This one right here, damaging a new enemy, grants you 168 haste for 10 seconds, up to 5 stacks. So this one could be huge for different AoE farming sections, or where you have like a boss that is spawning different types of enemies, giving you a lot of haste over time. You have the Infurious Helm of Vengeance right here. Physical enemies who damage you will sometimes take 7.2k physical damage over 6 seconds. And you can also see this one right here, increases the item level to 424 inside arenas and battlegrounds. You have another one as well, so basically in Furious is PvP, you have this one right here, Gladiator's Distinction, reduces the duration of incoming crowd control effects by an additional 5%. So these ones, PvP items, these ones right here, really interesting items that could be used within raids, and once again, these are bound on pickup, but you can use a crafting system to get them even if you don't have the profession. You also have the Primal Molten Breastplate, Primal Molten Gauntlets, Great Belt, Helm, basically a full set that you can get that is 384 item level, and you can even infuse it with power to give it even more item level, which is absolutely massive. And the thing is, even if I don't have blacksmithing, I can get all of these items simply by using the crafting order system, creating a massive demand for everything crafted throughout this profession. And you can also craft shields and weapons, which is absolutely massive. So you have the Primal Molten Defender, a very big shield that could come in very handy right here. And you have the Obsidian, Seared Claymore, Crusher, Face Smasher, Halberd, Hex Sword, Invoker, Rune Axe, and Slicer. People usually want to have the best weapons available, and getting these crafted weapons right here could be somewhat easy for you. So here you go, it could be a very good way to make some gold by crafting these weapons. And once again, even though they are bound on pickup, you can sell them through the crafting order system, and the sooner you get access to these ones, the more gold you can charge. Basically, by getting these as soon as possible, you can charge a premium based on not every blacksmith having the actual availability to craft these weapons. So to get these as soon as possible, go into specializations, go into weaponsmithing, and start going for example, axes, picks, and pole arms. You have maces and hammers, you have long blades, and you have short blades. Just go for those as soon as possible. Okay, so at this point we only have 4 professions left to go, and don't worry, I'll go through them super quick. So first of all, we have jewel crafting, and this one I'm going to be putting quite high, simply because you have a lot of things that you can spec into, and the different specializations gives you a lot of opportunities to make you as good as possible for gold making. So jewel crafting for me actually goes above leatherworking blacksmithing, and tailoring in the A tier, and I'll tell you why right now, based on it being super easy, and you can make gold through both crafting and prospecting. So by going into, if I just go to professions, we have jewel crafting right here. You can see exactly what we can do. We can have crushing, prospecting, recraft, and we have different reagents to keep crafting as well. We can craft some gems. We have the crafting Queen's Ruby, and if I just filter on to show the unlearned one as well, we have some even better gems later down the line, and we have a very good gem all the way down to a primalist gem. So once you spec into the right specialization, you can start finding illimited diamonds. These are a very good gem that you will be finding throughout the expansion, but you only find them when you have the best prospecting available, and you get them through your specializations. This will make you able to craft Fierce Illimited Diamond, which is a primalist gem, and people can have one of these primalist gems, so these ones will be very rare, and the sooner you get access to them, the more gold you can charge for these crafts, right? So you want to have access to this craft right here, and you want to be able to find illimited diamonds. So let's talk about how to find illimited diamonds. Okay, so the illimited diamond looks like it's no longer actually locked behind the enterprising specialization, because I could not find it right here, but it used to be right here. So you had to have a skill and rank in prospecting. But now, what is more worth noting is that you need to have skills into faceting to give yourself the availability to cut illimited diamonds with air essence to create the fierce illimited diamonds. And you have the same one for both air, earth, fire, and frost. And you have to have 40 points into each. So to get here, you will need to spend 40 points right here, and then 40 points right here. Actually, you just need 10 points right here to unlock one, 20 points to unlock the next one, and 30 for the next one, and 40 for the last one. So you can actually start getting one of them super quickly, but to get all the different types of gems, you need to have all the points spent here as well to unlock the final sub-specialization. So if you just want to have the fire one, this will require you to have 50 points, so you need to spend 10 points into faceting, then 40 points into fire, because to cut the illimited diamond, you will need 40 points spent into fire. So to actually craft these best in slot gems, you will need to spend at least 50 points, and then pick the one that you think is going to be the best one. So this one right here, plus 53 primary stat and some haste. This one right here, you have stat and crit. This one you have stat and versatility, and for the last one you have stat and mastery. So you can pick between those and pick the one that you think is going to sell for the most. And you also have a lot more ways to make gold with jewel crafting. You have the idols, you have the different types of jewelry to craft as well. Once again, you have a lot of bound on pickup items that can be sold through the crafting system. You have statues, you have battle pets coming back again as well, the jeweled amber whelpling, giving you some possibilities for some extra gold throughout the expansion, and you have profession equipment and also some other stuff as well that you can just keep crafting to make some additional stuff throughout the expansion. Jewel crafting is looking super good, and it gives you a lot of different opportunities. You can make a lot of gold through prospecting by going into something like, for example, enterprising right here, so you can spec into prospecting to get more stuff when you're prospecting. So right here you can now discover prismatic ore when there's a prospecting, which in itself can be prospected for even higher gem yield. And also prospecting speed increases your chance at acquiring glass when prospecting, plus 5 inspiration, and increases your chance of acquiring raw gems when prospecting. And lastly, prospecting prismatic ore has a chance to obtain casgorite ore. So the more stuff you have here, the more gold you will make from prospecting as well. So you can spec into either prospecting, setting, faceting, or just overall jeweler's toolset mastery. So lots of different avenues for gold making in one profession, which I personally love. And by going into prospecting as soon as possible, you can literally make some gold by just buying some ores, prospecting them, and selling what you get from prospecting. Next up, let's talk about cooking. So I'm going to be putting cooking into the C tier here. So here we go, C tier. But that being said, I do recommend everyone get cooking. It is a tertiary profession, so it doesn't take up any unnecessary slot. Anyone can have cooking while still having main professions as well. So definitely grab cooking. You can make some extra gold through cooking. There's cooking dailies available, and also some cooking recipes available through a noun. And also there's a fated cooking recipe obtained from Inscription, which could be interesting and important to know about. So the more professions professions you actually, or the more recipes you get for cooking, the more gold you can make through cooking, and usually I make a lot of gold with cooking whenever a new raid opens up, so it's worth combining something like cooking with alchemy on a raid release week, just to make some gold through that one as well, because people are buying feasts and individual food to increase their stats, and this is very important when a raid opens up. It is also worth noting, once again, we have a region-wide auction house, so there's going to be a very high demand for anything that has to do with raiding, no matter what server that you are playing on. Okay, that being said, we have 2 professions to go through. Let's talk about those. So we already mentioned engineering once in this video, and I'll be putting engineering in the C tier, all the way down, right next to cooking. It is slightly better than cooking, simply because it is a main profession, so you have to choose this one instead of everyone having access to it. But that being said, engineering is probably the best in slot raiding profession, which means a lot of people will have engineering on their main character, which also means they will be unlocking everything that has to do with raiding and the main content type of stuff. So people will be unlocking a lot of things with engineering on their main character, which is why I think this will really devalue the actual profitability behind engineering, plus the fact that you don't have the weapon crafting system or the plate crafting from blacksmithing. It is basically a blacksmithing profession, but based on a lot of different things. It is based on crafting gadgets, toys, pets, and just fun stuff. That being said, engineering is a very good profession, but personally I don't think it's very much tailored towards gold making. Lastly, we have enchanting, and enchanting for me goes into the B tier right next to alchemy, and I'll be putting it behind alchemy. So enchanting basically gives you the opportunity to craft enchants for people, and this is usually very much wanted when a raid opens up. So the first month of a raid, a lot of people will get new items from that raid, and they will want to buy enchants. I'm not saying you can't make yourself absolutely rich by having enchanting. I am saying it will take a lot of timing and knowledge to get there, but if you time your auctions correctly, you can make a lot of gold through enchanting. Put up the right enchants at the right time, and people will buy them. For example, for me, I'm playing in Europe, and if I sell enchants at 10 PM on a Wednesday, that is usually when most raid groups end their raid night, and everyone after the raid, they go straight to the auction house and buy enchants for their upgrades. So time the markets correctly, and you can get rich as well. So there you have it, guys, a long video on Dragonflight professions. Hopefully this covered a little bit about gold making and then the future expansion for Dragonflight for you, and hopefully it helped you make your decision on which professions to get a little bit simpler. You can see right here, there's a lot of professions that are super good for gold making, and personally I'm putting herbalism and mining into the S tier based on them being very safe, and also the materials are in very much demand, like very, very high demand. That being said, crafting professions do have the ability to give you more gold than crafting, definitely, than gathering, definitely, but it also requires a lot more knowledge and timing the market. But crafting, you always get you more gold than gathering, but you need to do a lot more research and know a lot more about gold making in general. But something like Inscription can make you absolutely rich the first few weeks, and something like jewel crafting can also make you rich, and crafting gear through leatherworking, blacksmithing, and tailoring can make you so much gold throughout the entire expansion. So take this tier list with a pinch of salt. It is based on the overall gold you can make, and also how easy the professions are for gold making as well. That being said, there are so many good ways to make gold in this expansion, and I think anyone who wants to make gold in Dragonflight will really enjoy this expansion. Based on my testing so far, it is super fun. Either way, let me know if I made any mistakes down below in the comment section. Let me know what your tier list looks like, if it's any different than mine, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below. Make sure to subscribe for future Dragonflight content. We have a lot of videos coming up, pretty much daily uploads now for Dragonflight, so hey, if you want to watch those videos and don't want to miss out, then subscribe down below. Either way, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.